Hey everyone, welcome to KTAL News Now. I'm your host Anthony Mocklin, and today is Wednesday, hump day, whatever you want to call it. We have reached the middle of the week, and we are in for a very exciting edition of Wellness Wednesday today here on KTAL News Now, which streams every weekday at 1 p.m. on KTALnews.com, where we'll be talking about a variety of different health topics and tips to implement into your everyday life to live a healthier and better lifestyle. And our first topic involves mental health, which is super important, especially if you are a minority, because last month in July was National Minority Mental Health Awareness Month, and KTAL's Melody Newsom spoke with local experts to talk about the challenges that minorities face mentally.
Mental health can affect everyone, but for minorities, it can be even more taxing, according to health experts. Dr. Juliana Fort says there are many factors that act as triggers for mental health issues.
I think because there often can be microaggressions or barriers to employment or perceived or actual mistreatment, I think that can lead to, feelings of trauma and can increase specifically the rates of depression, anxiety, or even using substances to try to deal with these issues, that affect them.
Angela Seitz, a behavioral specialist, spoke to the KTAL Parish Commission about the importance of treating women of color during their meeting back in May.
When you all see us, you see this strong woman, or you may see when we say things and say what we mean, this angry Black woman. So what I do is I work with women to help them understand their emotions.
Despite having a mental illness, specialists try to make their patients see that they can accomplish their goals just like everyone else.
Mental illness is very common, and that it can be courageous and you can be proud if you can still figure out ways to live and accomplish things, despite your mental illness. So I think helping them to see that people can be a success even with a mental illness.
For more information and resources, she says please visit Mental Health America to help anyone in need. Melody Newsom, NBC6 News.
And you can also visit our website on mental health resources around your local area or anything else you might need information or where to go and who to talk to. That'll be on KTALnews.com. And mental health is a super important thing. I keep stressing it because it is vital to just living everyday life. And one thing that can deteriorate mental health is bullying, especially in younger kids. And the Caddo Parish Sheriff's Office is looking to combat that as they held an anti-bullying event last week at the Safety Town. And KTAL's Yalisha Gatewood details the message that the deputies were leaving or sharing with the kids about how they can deal with bullying and combat mental health so that they can live just their normal lives on an everyday basis without having to worry about any other person to bring them down, and just to keep fighting and keep moving forward.
We did start the day off with the educational block. They learned about bullying, they learned definitions of bullying, but the most important part of that educational block is how they can help, not just be a bystander, but how they can safely help. Not be involved, but if they see something, say something, and still not have anything to do with it.
Sheriff's Safety Town hosts an interactive safety event for kids to learn about topics such as the different types of bullying and what to do if they see it.
Basically, we just learning about the basic of anti-bullying. We learned about social bullying, cyberbullying, verbal bullying, and it's basically talking about what not to do and what to do. If I see somebody bullying somebody else, I will step in to help them so they won't feel alone.
The class filled with students of all grades, creating posters with positive messages that would capture the attention of others.
But if you have something that's going to be oh, look at that, what they got, it's going to make them attracted to the do not bully message.
Tanaya Taylor, a Caddo Magnet High School student, says each poster is different, but shows a clear message of why they are needed.
Basically says that you're not alone in this at all, that if you don't have nobody, you're going to have this community. Just to get the message out there, if you could tell one person, then that person could tell the next person.
Sergeant Felisa Larry who is teaching the class, says this will help spark positive change to empower students as they head into the new school year.
A lot of these kids are going into senior year, some of them going off to college, and they will make a difference. They're bright. Another big part of this program is each child leaves with a piece of paper with an encouraging message to go back to their schools during the school year and plant an anti-bully day.
And Taylor says she stands against bullying and wants others to do the same.
Stand up for what you believe in. Don't be scared. Just believe in what you feel in your heart.
Yalisha Gatewood, NBC 6 News.
And it's really great to see the community come together for an event like this, especially with local agencies who are doing their part to make a difference in kids' lives and to make sure that they are set up for the best success possible. In another way that the community is rallying around its people is through support groups, particularly for amputees. And each month, Christus St. Michael hosts an amputee support group that is open to not just amputees, but members of the community who are looking for advice or encouragement from fellow patients or medical professionals who understand what they're going through. And KTAL's Hunter Trombetta details how they are being supported through these groups.
Donald Sheffield lost his right leg to a blood clot in 2023.
I looked down and seen my leg, realized that it was gone, and I got angry, but the Lord spoke to me that morning and gave me a choice to either be better or bitter.
That journey to better was not an easy one, but he says one of the ways he was able to get this far was through the help of an amputee support group.
Matter of fact, every month they would send me an invitation to come, and I didn't come for, I don't know, a pretty good while. And then I started coming, and I wished, after the first time here, I wish I would have came the first time.
For roughly 5 years, Christus St. Michael has been hosting this group to connect amputees with people who truly understand the problems they face.
And I loved all my physical therapies I had here, but they're physical therapists, and they see what has happened, but they've never felt what has happened.
The healthcare professionals help facilitate conversations centered around different issues they may be facing.
The last few months we've talked about service animals, driving with amputations, phantom limb pain, just different things that they can be affected by or that they deal with day to day.
But they say having that community to lean on is what allows many amputees to work through their grief.
It's one of the hardest things that you can go through. It's like losing a family member. It makes it special to them when other people are willing to share the hardships and tribulations that they've been through. It's a lot easier for them to be able to pour them a piece of themselves out as well. And the support part comes in where it's like, hey, someone can say, I went through that too.
Mm-hmm.
And as I said before, they hold meetings once a month, typically on every third Wednesday of the month at 11 a.m. at their rehab hospital. And like I said, it is open to anyone. They encourage anyone to join, whether you're a patient looking for advice or someone who you think could give great advice to those in need and in need of support. It is open to anyone. It's on the third Wednesday of every month at the rehab hospital. And you can find more information on how to participate and how to get involved on our website at ktalnews.com. And if you are someone who likes to give their support and to try to help those in need, especially those in need of organ transplants, if you're an organ donor in the state of Louisiana, which usually has a little donor symbol on your license that you opt in or out of if you're getting a license for the first time or you're renewing your license. But if you are one, there is a national investigation undergoing currently in regards to the ethics of actually procuring and harvesting the organs that are used for transplants in patients in need. And the practices of that procurement are, like I said, under that national investigation by the Department of Health and Human Services. and they are describing it as a horrifying situation that is taking place or has taken place in Kentucky under one of the nation's largest organizations. And KTAL's Alexandra Meacham actually spoke with our state's nonprofit organization, the Louisiana Organ Procurement Agency, or LOPA for short, and she talked with them to address the situation and explain their practices and also the ethics of organ procurement.
The United States has 58 different organ procurement agencies in the country that all fall under federal guidelines, but differ in state guidelines. Louisiana's is stricter.
Louisiana is very unique in its approach to certain safeguards for patient safety, particularly around the declaration of death. That requires 2 physician signatures on any declaration.
Bailey Morse is the chief legal officer for the Louisiana Organ Procurement Agency. When asked if there is mismanagement nationally, she explains how the differing standards could lead to rare situations, such as what took place in 2021 under the Kentucky-based nonprofit Network for Hope, when a patient's organs were allegedly about to be harvested before a surgeon realized the patient was not actually dead yet.
Represent some of the rarest occurrences. They are real, and they're real enough to generate public concern and maybe some confusion.
She says LOPA takes any concerns extremely seriously. The organization follows strict adherence to internal policies.
Is to not only earn the public's trust, but to maintain it.
She represents LOPA because she's also an advocate with a personal connection. Her mother-in-law, Robin, was once a recipient.
About 20 years ago, she was placed on the transplant list. She was awaiting a liver transplant. About 15 years ago, she received that wonderful call that there was a donor for her and that she was going to receive a very much needed organ. Through that loving gift, she lived 15 full years.
Then Robin became a donor herself.
She was able to make that last gift to someone else and give another family a new tomorrow.
Hospitals inform LOPA when there are candidates for organ and tissue transplants. The candidates must be declared deceased or on a ventilator and deemed brain dead.
We are there to advocate for the decision that a patient may have made by, say, registering themselves.
Nationally, more than 100,000 people are on the transplant waiting list. In Louisiana, more than 1,800 patients are on the list. LOPA's chief operating officer, Chad Ezell, says donor registration has grown in recent years, providing more than 800 transplants.
Over 800 lives were saved through the work of LOPA.
They say LOPA goes beyond transplantation. They help donor families navigate the emotional process.
And we support the donor's family through grief counseling from the time that the process initiates all the way post-recovery.
They explain people should not fear becoming an organ donor. It is the ultimate gift to give a stranger.
At the end of one's life, you have the opportunity to save another life.
And for the families left behind, it connects a lasting legacy between lives lost and lives saved. I'm Alexandra Meacham reporting.
And with football season right around the corner, athletic trainers are absolute pros at what they do in terms of working hard to keep football players safe. And KTAL's Lynn Vance talks about the role they play in that safety.
Athletic trainers play a critical role in the care of athletes. They're often the first on the scene when a player is injured. They provide emergency care and guide those injured through a safe recovery.
I'd call them almost Swiss Army knife of medical services, because we do it all. We may do some of the preventative care of taping ankles, wound care, things like that, but then as the games go on, when something happens during a game, during a practice, we're the ones running out of the field, doing initial assessments, trying to develop a plan on what's going to be next. Is this something that we can take care of right here? Do we need to go see the doctor? Do we need to go to the emergency room? It's very all-encompassing.
Athletic trainers also help players deal with mental health issues, or they can refer them to professionals.
And one thing that's extremely important with athlete health and just being an athletic trainer, my dad was an athletic trainer. He still is the athletic trainer of Mount Carmel Academy in New Orleans. Like, I've always after school, I would just go there with him and just be behind the scenes essentially. So I was pretty familiar with the ins and outs of athletic training. I mean, he's been the athletic trainer at Mount Carmel since before I was born. So, I mean, he's coming up on almost 30 years of being Mount Carmel's athletic trainer, which is crazy to even fathom. But he absolutely loves it. I'm sure he wouldn't trade it for anything, considering he's been there that long and just has made so many connections with local families in New Orleans and just everything of that nature. It actually inspired me initially to want to pursue sports medicine and be an athletic trainer, or just something involved in the medical field. Like I've said on, I think I said on the interview where it was a get to know me that I wanted to be a dentist initially, but that biology 1 course at LSU whooped my butt pretty good, so that kind of deterred me from that. But I'm glad to see that, you know, the impact of athletic trainers is still felt and recognized, not just in New Orleans, but in our area and just nationwide. I mean, they do so much behind the scenes to just make sure that athletes are ready to go for game day, and then whenever something does happen in the game, they're usually the first ones there to run out on the field to make sure they're okay, to give them treatment. And like I said, they're just so important in sports, which is a huge part of Louisiana and just the country as a whole, especially with football season coming up. But like I was saying earlier, the health of athletes is super important physically, but also sleep is one thing that is crucial, not just in athletes, but in everyday people, and especially in children as they're growing up. And it's so important in terms of their development because if you don't get 7 to 9 hours of sleep, which your body pretty much requires to function at 100% every day, it can lead to detrimental effects later on down the line. And like I said, in terms of your growth and your body's ability to function, if you get like 4 to 5 hours of sleep a night, which is super unhealthy, it can lead to not just short-term consequences, it can take, you know, some years off of your life down the line. So be sure to get enough sleep each night. And based on a survey from Talker Research, the average time that a person goes to sleep is around 11:18 p.m. And that survey was conducted using 2,000 participants who said that they usually begin their nighttime routine around 10:15 p.m. and most of which are tucked into bed around 10:36 p.m. But it still takes around like 40 minutes for them to actually fall asleep, which is, whenever I saw those numbers, I wasn't too shocked because I just thought that was the norm. That's usually my nighttime routine pretty much. Maybe I fall asleep a little bit later, like around like midnight, but I'm usually like starting to wrap everything up maybe around maybe a little bit later, or maybe like 10:30ish or so, and that's where I'll start getting ready for the next day and just, you know, brushing my teeth and do everything. But I used to be really, really bad about the sleep stuff, especially in college, and a little bit in high school. It kind of spilled over to that. But there were times where, you know, I would have one class a week where I think it was at 7 in the morning at LSU, and I wouldn't go to sleep until like 1 in the morning the night before, and then I would just wake up just sleepwalking like a zombie to class, essentially. So I don't recommend that, especially in college where you have all this free time and you think, oh, you know, I just have to wake up, go to class for an hour, maybe a little bit less, and then I could just take a nap afterwards in between classes if you have a gap between, like you say you have a 7 a.m. and then your next class is until like 11 a.m. It's very easy to fall into that routine of, oh, I'll just wake up, come back to my dorm or my apartment, take a nap, and then just go back to class. So it's not, like I said, I would not recommend doing this, especially considering the fact that your body needs continuous sleep rather than saying, oh, I'll just catch up on sleep with a nap. That's not how that works. I forgot the study that I read, but it said that pretty much you need REM sleep or rapid eye movement, which is like the deepest form of sleep, where It's uninterrupted. It's continuous for at least 7 hours. Typically 7 to 9 hours is the recommended range to get each recommended amount of sleep to get each night. And if you're not getting that, if it's interrupted or if it's segmented, if you only get, let's say, 5 or 6 hours and then you take like an hour or two nap, and then you're like, oh, it adds up to 7 to 9 or whatever. But that's, like I said, that's not how that works. It's definitely recommended to have uninterrupted sleep. Make sure you're getting the best sleep you possibly can each night. Make sure you're going to bed at a reasonable time. If you have to wake up at 7 in the morning, be sure to wake up and just plan ahead and just chart that out on like, okay, I need to go to sleep at this time to get 8 hours, and just keep that in mind as you're doing your nighttime routines. If you have to go to bed a little bit earlier, I know it sucks to kind of wind down your day and wake up for the next one, but just try to have a positive outlook on it. You get another chance to take on a new day and tackle a new day, and like, you don't know what's in store. You might think, oh, it's going to be the same thing, but life is just about what you make it. And if you're just living every day saying, oh, I'm waiting to this, like, just try to live in the present. Sorry to go on a whole gospel rant or whatever, but I'm just, just try to have a positive outlook on things and just try to be happy and make the most of each day. That's what I try to do. I try to just be the best person that I can each and every day, and just be supportive whenever I can of anyone, and just be there for people if they need anything at all. And if you need anything at all, you can reach me at amocklin@ktalnews.com. If you just want to talk, if you have something on your mind, or if you want to talk something specific, whether it's movies, sports, entertainment, anything, I'm totally down for anything that y'all have in mind. If you have any story ideas for me that you want me to talk about or feature more on the show, I'm open to absolutely anything, because like I said, I want this to be the best experience possible for our audience. So you can reach me at amocklin, that's MOCKLIN, at KTALnews.com, which is also where you can catch our show every Monday through Friday at 1 p.m. on KTAL News Now. If you want to watch our previous episodes, you can visit our YouTube page at KTAL News, where you can find all of our old episodes, all of our previous editions of Wellness Wednesday. And be sure to stick around with us tomorrow for an edition of Weekend Events, where we look ahead to the weekend ahead. If you're looking for something to do around the area, I got you. Don't worry. I'll be sure to include anything that's happening around the weekend that you might be interested in. If you're just looking to kill time, or just looking to get out the house and just do something fun with friends or family, I'll be there for you to lay out everything you need to know for the weekend. But like I said, you can catch us on KTAL News Now every Monday through Friday at 1 p.m. I'm Anthony Mocklin. I hope y'all have a great rest of your day, and be sure to stick with us the rest of the week. But for now, thank you for joining us. I'll see you tomorrow on KTAL News Now.